Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Cyber Monday. First off, I just wanted to say such an amazing well done for all the work that has led us to have such a successful run up to Black Friday and Black Friday weekend. Long may it continue. We took over £500,000 this weekend, so that is just absolutely brilliant sales and almost forecast beating. It's going to take us a little while to recover from that, so now all hands on deck in that tiny lull that we get just before we go into peak trading. The main reason that I wanted to post this vlog is just to start talking to everyone about preparation for the new customer assistant role next year. So before we know it, the 19th of January will hit us, and it's not like we're not going to be extremely busy up until that point. But we decided to focus first on the outcome of the alignment conversations. Now we are over 65% through those alignment conversations, and for your information, about 40% of those conversations have had no change of hours required from partners. 40% of those conversations have had a change of hours required from partners, but it's been within the availability that has been given to the branch. And then there are a 20% group of partners where the hours that we are asking partners to do don't fall within the hours that they have offered. Now, in some cases, this might be just half an hour's worth of work. In some cases, the change is more significant. And in some of these conversations, the change has been accepted and agreed by both the TM experts and the partner. And for some of the other conversations, we will keep going through that process and find a way of making sure that we are having an open conversation about the needs of the business versus the needs of every individual. But as we've got ourselves more than halfway through those outcome conversations now, we can start to focus on some of the preparation that it's going to take to get us ready for the new customer assistant role. So many of you will seen, either through the outcome of group consultation, or because you've read it on the partner intranet, or because it's appeared on your Workday learning, that there are some core expectations of the customer assistant role, and there are training modules available for those already. Now, there is no firm deadline for that training to be completed before the end of this year and before we move to new model. There will be, however, a deadline further on through next year. Now, what we've seen is that lots of branches have quickly gone after that training. Partners have sat themselves down and really engrossed themselves in the information that's available. And the feedback that we're starting to hear is how some of that training, without context, can be slightly overwhelming. Now, there's a number of you here, over 20%, that have already cracked on with that training yourselves. So well done, and thank you for that. But from some of the conversations that I've had, the feedback I've had is that you can learn something or read something in theory, but if you don't have an opportunity to put it into practice, then it's very difficult to consolidate that learning and actually make it worthwhile. So in some instances, if we're not going to be doing the activity until next year, perhaps sitting down and doing the training now, just through reading a presentation or some instructions, isn't going to be entirely effective. So we've decided to take a slightly different approach, and we will begin rolling out some of that core training from next week. So there are 4 modules that will be visible on your Workday Learning page as it stands, and you are able to go in and explore. Those are service and service enablers, standards and ticketing, replenishment, returns and withdrawals. Now, if you are an experienced current operations partner or an experienced current selling partner, or you've just been around for a while, much of this training you won't even have to do because you just know how to do it already. You already know how to use a partner device. You already know how to use an MFD. You already know how to use a headset. You might already know some of the more specialised areas in those training packages. The fifth module that we will also be exploring is payment. Now, this is a little bit more of a complex module because with the payment training comes quite a list of mandatory training. So before people can engage with learning how to use a till, there's just some legal and compliance stuff that has to be completed before that. So we're also going to take quite a planned approach to that, rather than just adding it to everybody's profile and then everyone having an additional 10 modules of mandatory training and the learning itself to complete. So we hope the approach that we are taking will give you some assurance in terms of the level of support that is available for you to learn these new skills. Now, as I've already referred to, some of them you may not actually put into practice for quite a while, as we won't be asking everyone to drop what they're doing straight away and start doing something completely different. We're just trying to break down the barriers between our current operations roles and our selling roles so that we are always able to put customer, whether that is service or activity related, at the forefront of what we do. So what you will see appearing in your schedule is some facilitated sessions. Now, the idea of having these facilitated sessions is that, as I've mentioned, we can look at the theory and the practice, but it also just gives the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have about what the customer assistant role looks like when we get to January, and just an opportunity to have a conversation, really. So we will take small groups of partners from the shop floor and we will do some of the theory learning, and then we will do some of the practice learning. So for example, in one of the modules, we will cover off how to give a customer collection partner a parcel. So you can read that in the training, but then what we will do after that is ensure that you can log on to the MFD, which will allow you to do that activity, and you practice giving out some parcels to customers, just to build that awareness and confidence. Now, I have said we all the way through as I've been explaining our approach, but it is Neil predominantly that will take charge and run those sessions. So he's done lots of planning already since he's been back in branch. He's looked at some of the training himself, so he is able to then confidently articulate that to you guys. Our specialists will support us in some way, shape or form with that training as well. So you will see those sessions begin to appear on the scheduling tool from next week. If you've got any questions in the meantime, please ask myself or Neil, and we're more than happy to share any information that we've got. I must remind us all that we are all learning together on this one. So it is really important that we support each other, help each other, and be patient with each other as we go through the biggest change that all of our shops have seen in a very long time. Thank you for listening. And as I said, any questions, please just ask.